Decorating Pages podcast presents Production Design Film Study. This class examines Oscar-nominated films spanning a century of cinema. Accomplished professionals in production design will explore and dissect the sets featured in each of these nominated films and will educate why they were recognized for the design of their time. This episode are the films of 2022 and are reviewed by Kim Wannop, set decorator. Hello, and welcome to this film design film study. I'm so excited for everyone to jump aboard this. And I thought that I would start it off with doing the year 2022 so that it's a reference that's fresh in our minds. Other episodes will include 1947, 1950, 1955, 1980. There's a dozen other years that I've dove into with other production designers, art directors, set decorators, buyers, and we've all dissected these films to try to educate why they're the best of the best, or maybe not, as some of us discuss. So let's dive in. I'm going to do this year in alphabetical order, but I'm going to save the winner, All Quiet on the Western Front, till last. So let's start with Avatar. So this film picks up several years after the Navajo repelled the RDA invasion, and Jack Sully and his family are living in Pandora. Things seem peaceful, but the RDA have other plans, invading and capturing Pandora. Sully forms a guerrilla group to try to excel the invaders. It was nominated for 4 Oscars. It won Best Achievement in Visual Effects. Production designer Dylan Cole and Ben Proctor, set decorator Vanessa Cole. What a job. Now let's just look. This is their art department crew. And you can see that this took a village to make. And I mean, it took this film, 12 years? It was 12 years or something in the making. It's unbelievable. Most of it was filmed at the Manhattan Studios in Los Angeles, Manhattan Beach, California, and also in New Zealand. The budget was $350 million, and to date, it's made about $2.3 billion. That's crazy money, people. This film is unbelievable. I saw it in the theater. I saw it big on screen, and I should say for this presentation, I was lucky that I tapped into the Art Directors Guild presentations for their Art Directors Guild Awards. So a lot of these photos are coming from the package directly from the production designers team they put together for their nomination in their awards package. So here are some illustrations of Return to Pandora. I mean, these take months and months to get precise with the feeling of the film, the tone and the colors and everything. I mean, they didn't just plop these out. And then when you start to put actors into them and the scale of how these actors are going to be in there, I know that the creatures that they portray are taller than humans, I believe. But there's some beautiful renderings here. And even all of the vehicles that they had to design. I mean, this project is massive. I know why it took so long, but my Lord, this, it's a lot. Being in an art department and you're living with these people and developing all these things over time. It's an incredible process that they went through. Here's one of their practical sets. And you could see their lab and the dressing, and then even the advanced computer screens that they've developed, all of the lighting that's built into the sets, some of the fixtures there, the flooring, even the details on the bottom left of just the dressing of those little bags that light up. And the stage structure, which I have made bigger here so you can see the build of this. That's fantastic. I mean, look at that. And they're lighting from above. They've got other sets around it. Um, Beautiful sets. This is back to the vehicles that they have to build and integrating that with their digital process. I mean, they've really it's a magnificent film. That's all I can say. The I grapple with how much digital content is there versus the reality of the actors and the real sets, and it's very hard to tell where they start and stop. It's very hard. That's how great this is. I mean, all of the features when they're in the water and digitally, it's just gorgeous. One of the things I really enjoyed seeing here is the practical making of this webbing and using that with the actors and making this little world that they had. It's gorgeous, and I'm sure that took a long time to practically make and make part of the set. Here is one of their other practical sets in Med Bay, which is so, technically advanced. They want to achieve that in their design to show that this is an advanced society. The lighting that they have there, the use of medical pieces. And here again is the part of the village. What takes me out of this as a viewer in design is I don't quite know where this real set is and not. I mean, it's apparent in a set like this. This is real. But this gets so part of the digital world that then I'm like, why did they bother building? Look at how much detail is in this weaving, and it's incredible. It's gorgeous. And then to make that transparent piece there so that lighting can come through and you can get the blue tones. It's gorgeous. This also just showing some more of their practical pieces, desks that they made, tablets they had developed. Yeah, this desk, wow. I mean, throughout the film, they have to make so much because they're in the future, and it's not out there to rent. So they're making all of this, which is unbelievable. And then these water, scenes and the big tanks that they use with the actors. Again, here's more practical sets, the Sea Dragon Bridge. These were all built. They're beautiful sets. I mean, look at the detail of even like the flooring and the doors, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful in a sci-fi way. That's how I feel. Here's another behind the scenes picture of them filming in the tank, and then from above. And as I said, their vehicles, they had to build all these with some of the army pieces, these tanks. It's a wonderful design film. It's awesome. It's by far in a different league than the other nominees. It's just a different film. And it's very hard to say one is better than the other when these films are so different in their designs and so different in their storytelling. But somehow, you vote and you pick one. Our next film is Babylon with production designer Florencia Martin and set decorator Anthony Carlino. This is a tale of outsized ambition and outrageous excess. It traces the rise and fall of multiple characters during an era of unbridged decadence and depravity in early Hollywood. So I have here that their budget was $110 million, and it made about $64 million to date. Nominated for 3 Oscars, no wins, and filmed all around Los Angeles. It's uh, I have people who worked on this film that I know, um, especially prop master Gabe Perillo and her assistant Julie and Casey, and I know how hard this shoot was and how demanding it was on the cast and crew. So I take that in a little bit when I try to judge all these sets and everything, just knowing that they were tight. They were really on a strict shooting schedule, I guess, and or just a demanding shooting schedule that made, having these sets created hard. And look at this set. Look at all of this detail and grandness in this architecture of the time, and the size of this set is fantastic. It's I mean, a huge party scene. I don't know, it's like the first 20 minutes of the film is like, or more, is in this. Um, it's beautiful. Look at the detail, and seeing how the carpenters are um, fitting pieces and paint going in there, making details. I mean, it looks like it's down at the Biltmore. It's so aged perfectly, and just gorgeous, gorgeous work. Another set of picture to show how large this is. The bedroom that they did, that there's a big scene in. I believe this is a rendering of it, but this is, you know, very much of the time of having the pictures on the wall and creating this feeling with this color scheme of the bold richness of, the house being like this huge mansion, which you can see this is all that they built and then extended it digitally. Um, and the research that goes into our projects is always amazing. I mean, they're showing, LA before it was LA, and look at this kaleidoscope pictures and seeing that it was all, you know, orange groves and farming and desert. I mean, we basically live in a desert in Los Angeles. I really enjoyed the scenes of them showing the the filming process back then, and just these like 2 wall, 3 wall vignettes, and them being like, one's a bar, one's a hospital, one's this, one's a living room, one blah blah blah, and then showing this, how the crew had the lights and how they just shot these pictures so quickly back then. And it's true, that's how they did it. And then you have like a big, epic tale film. You have all of these extras, and you have this, the magic hour, and the sunset going down, and getting that all on film, and the pressure of it all. That guy getting the film. I've been there, you know. You've been a PA. You got to get it now. You got to get it to set. Um, Anyone who's worked in the film business can relate to that scene of that guy trying to get that film set. It's captured very well. I love the inside of, like, the dressing room of the time, and he's out there in a tent, and he's got all of the niceties that actors get when on set. Here is another 3 wall set showing when they started to do sound, and they bring in the microphones and things like that. All of this history of film, I loved. I loved learning all this again. I mean, some of this if you study film, and the process of the silence versus the talkies, and everything, and how it was such a huge adjustment for actors. This set I love. I just love how the colors of everything and the drapery and the simple geometric shapes that were designed are just fantastic. And the deco of lighting, I just love this set. This is a great detail that they showed drawings for, of the camera would make too much noise, so they kept it in a box, a soundproof box. Um, Showing details like that of the minuscule things that you have to design and build, just like an avatar, these little things, because it's not around, this isn't around anymore. Or an avatar, it's not being built, it's not real. So um, this is amazing when they go down to this, like the basement of Los Angeles, the blockhouse, as they call it. All of these tunnels that they went through. And then I believe this is a rendering of how they wanted it to feel. And that is the scene. The scene does feel like this cave. I mean, they have fire in there and no lighting, and it's this gross scene, but it definitely conveys some wackiness going on in Hollywood. Um, Dressing, storefronts for period, even the cars, the detail of the awnings, the graphics on all of the windows. This is this huge dress to get period correct for them. Again, here's some of their research and then how it translated into the scene and into the set, showing, you know, how people were living back then. Even if this wasn't Hollywood, maybe it was New York tenants. I'm sure they took that research and implemented it into the story. And then you have the opposite. You have the Spanish mansion that Jack Conrad lives in, and there's plenty of research that supports his house and the dressing of his, and that there's gorgeous sconces that just glow on the wall, and fabulous light shades. Their lamp shades are fantastic. Um, Here's another view of that room. Just gorgeous. Look at the floor. It's gorgeous. And it's not overdone. But they're implementing this style, but it's not overdone. It's not, there's not too much in the room. Um, Lady Faye's bungalow, I thought, was a fantastic set of just getting so much red and color into the room. And then you see through that doorway how the hallway is a different shade, that only her room was red, and just beautiful. And those are the plans for the room, details, the millwork, the wallpaper reference. And then here I thought was interesting, showing all of the graphics that went into, when they present her as a movie star, or like their movie posters are up. Just the style back then of all of these posters, which I just did 1927 films with production designer um, Jamie McCall, and we talk a lot about the posters of that days in 1927. So it is a thing back then with all of these posters that were just fantastic. And this office, Eleanor St. John's office, this is a location I have shot there, but a beautiful Moroccan style room, and these gorgeous details of the woodwork or casing around the windows, and then um, that beautiful piece of furniture that they have there, the desk and everything, the wood carved desk is just fantastic. I think the whole film is done really well. I mean, the props, of course, are done great. But the whole film is done really well. For me, like, as a film, I don't think people really care about Hollywood as much as they used to in those days. So maybe that's why it didn't do as well as maybe it could have. But I'll watch Brad Pitt do anything, right? And Margot Robbie is an angel. She's gorgeous. I would watch her do anything too. I just think she's a fantastic actress, and yeah. So next we have Elvis, production designers Catherine Martin and Karen Murphy, and set decorator Bev Dunn. I watched this movie and I didn't like it, and then I rewatched it to talk about the sets, and it grew on me, I must say. And so this is the life of the icon Elvis Presley, from his childhood to becoming a rock and roll movie star in the 50s, while maintaining a complex relationship with his manager, Colonel Tom Parker. This film had a budget of 85 million and made 288 million. So that's a hit. It was nominated for 8 Oscars. I don't think it won any, if I'm not wrong. Here is the art department: art directors, set designers, set decorator. And what I found fascinating in doing the research for this versus when I watched it the first time was thinking that, oh, they probably went to Graceland and did this, or you'll see like this town in the 50s. Oh, they probably went somewhere in the South and found these old drugstores and whatnot. No, they built everything in Australia. This film was shot completely in Australia, and they built everything, which I know I shouldn't be blown away by that. I'm a set decorator. I work behind the scenes. I shouldn't be like fascinated by that, but I am. I think it's fantastic, and it made me like the film design wise more, knowing all the effort that they had put into this. Um, there's, going back to his roots and growing up with black music and seeing, he came from a very poor side, and I think in Memphis, I don't know, Tennessee he's from, I forget. But then, the color of when he's growing up and going into these shops, which these are all builds, people. This storefront. Now, the builds in, well, I don't know if they were builds back in Babylon. That street that we just talked about. I believe that's a back lot that was redressed for the era. I believe these are all built for the film. And look at all this product. Look at all this period product they had to get. I mean, it's a lot. And I don't even know if, I know that they went into this one store, but man, you look at like all of these stores, that's incredible. This is a complete build. This whole street is a build. All of the neon is built. All of those awnings, all of, everything here is a build. You can see how they planned it out and built this street on that bottom picture. You can see them hanging the neon or aging the buildings. I mean, it's a wonderful bill. And then this, I'm sure, is a plan with the designer and the director and the first ADs going over how they're going to make it look bigger than it is. And you can see in yellow the crane shots that are coming in and the cameras, and the flow of the cars to make it look like traffic is constantly moving down these streets. It's wonderful. I love seeing this drawing and how many departments that had to go through. um, the recording studios and showing Elvis in these old timer recording studios and getting all these vintage pieces as a decorator. That's the find. That's the fun, is finding all these pieces, the correct ones, and the pain, the pain of not finding the correct one, or it just sold on eBay, now I can't get it, something like that. um the details are incredible. There's this circus fair sequence that so much effort is put into, the carnival, and it's not very long shots, to be quite. I don't feel like he's there. This isn't like a huge part of the movie, I feel. But look at all the paintings and the backdrops, and I've done fairs, so you got to get all the, and this is period. You got to get all the merry-go-rounds and, it, illustrating this. Look at the cars and the detail and the Ferris wheels, and again showing where the cameras will be. There's the location picture of the before where there was nothing there. They're building models, so that people like the director or the DP can get scale into their heads. Sometimes is better than looking at drawings. Yeah, there's a huge carnival. build here and set up, probably put up and put down in like a couple days. Unbelievable. Now here is interesting. Here is Graceland. Now they built all this. They built all of it. Look at that. So what they did was they built the bottom half and then set extensioned the rest of it. I mean, unbelievable. Look on the mountainside and how, it was built inside also, because they built the inside on a stage and had to do the reverse on some of people coming in and out of the doors. So that's why you're doing the build on that bottom left picture of the entry port. And then inside, seeing I love, love, love seeing, sets that aren't dressed yet and then seeing them dressed. I mean, it's something spectacular. That's why I became a decorator. Seeing a set undressed and then seeing the personality and the details that decorators can put into these spaces. That's why I'm here. That's why I love my job. This is a spectacular set. I mean, I know that and reproducing things, I feel, because I've done it, there is such an importance that you want to respect the actual spaces, and in recreating them to the precise down detail of a crack in the mirror, you want to give that respect to the space that you are trying to recreate. And I know these sets are done phenomenally because this team obviously has done some phenomenal work before. These I think I read that they wanted to go into places that the tour doesn't go into, and wanted to show those spaces also. So I have never been to Graceland. I don't know these spaces, but it's great. I love it. This detail of look at the banister, look at the drapery, and the detail work is just fantastic. Now this is one of the tour buses. Doing tour buses is always fun if you have something like this, but also so very challenging to, if you get a practical bus, and how can you take it apart so that the film crew can get in there. How are we going to light it, or using the practical lights, and just details that you're trying to get into these tiny little spaces. And obviously this is live workspace. He's got the kitchen and the makeup mirror and the beds and everything. So I am sure that they recreated this, if this was real, like to the T. What's it say? Visual final frames and on-set photography. Yeah, it's spectacular. This recreating this moment in Elvis's life, that's important. This was his huge, I believe his huge like comeback sort of concert. And I don't know, I think I read like it hadn't been done before in this type of setting, where he was in the round, he was in the middle, and everyone was around him, and it was very intimate design that he had for this show. Oh yeah, the 68 comeback special. And look at that control room. Look at remaking all of this control room, getting the precise TVs and equipment. It's a lot. It's a lot. This, you look at this scene and you think, oh, they went to some theater and they did this. And in my head, I'm like, oh, they went to that Hilton in Vegas and they did it all there. It's called the Hilton. It's called the Elvis Theater, the old Hilton Hotel. And they didn't. They built it. They built the whole thing. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that great? Look at all those booths. Yeah, this booth made, and picking out the upholstery and getting those correct. The stage, getting the drapery and the lighting, and so there's extension there. But look at that. That's fantastic. Look at the rug. That's great. And his hotel suite. I mean, this as a set was gigantic. And the sunken living room and the TVs, the drapery to surround all of this view of Las Vegas. And the gold. It's so dark, though. It's so dark on film. But this also is one of my favorite sets in the in the film. Colonel's his office. I mean, what a nut job this guy was. Like, it's surrounded by Elvis memorabilia that he eventually, I believe, owned all the rights to. But just creating all of these posters with the actor in them and not Elvis. You know what I mean? It's a huge graphics film, just huge. And yeah, I do, and I'm sure eBaying all this too was a pretty penny getting all these pieces together. So that is the Emmy nominated film Elvis. Um, and the last, are we on the last film already? Boy, this has been fun, huh? So, production designer Rick Carter and set decorator Karen O'Hara. This film is growing up in post World War II era Arizona. Young Sammy Fableman aspires to become a filmmaker as he reaches adolescence, but soon discovers a shattering family secret and explores how the power of film can help him see the truth. So, as a film person, if you're watching this, you know this is the story of how Steven Spielberg grew up. And this is his story, directed by Steven Spielberg, written by Tony Kushner, one of his partners, I believe. And I mean, I don't think every single scene is exact, but I think a lot of it is Spielberg's own story. A budget of 40 million, and to date, it has made 46 million. Nominated for 7 Oscar awards. It was shot in Arizona and Los Angeles. The art department here. Now you can see all of these other films, much smaller art department than the Avatar, but this is, these are the people that are making it happen. I I love I love when you have to do like fake snow, and I just get really like, wow, I can't believe we're doing this. And everybody's like bundled up, and it's like 90 degrees in LA, and there's fake snow on the ground, and Um, I love doing the weather stuff. I sometimes I hate doing holidays, but doing holidays and finding vintage holiday pieces, that's fun. That's always fun. This garage that he, makes his films in, and first he gets this idea because he has this train set, and he is, wants to make a little movie of the train like derailing and everything. It's a really great scene in imagination and looking at a child who wants to make something and build something and make it better and make the train fall out, and then his mom helps him and gets involved. And I really loved this this scene and this aspect of like a mom trying to help her kid, with his dream. And here they show the models that they made for the house. This first house, they moved I think 3 times. This first house is more period than the others. To make it look older than the others, you'll see they get more mid-century, more craftsman. And this is still, yeah, still the first house. Look at that drapery in the kitchen and the old stove, the linoleum flooring. But you could see how you're decorating someone's home and the personality is there, putting in family photos, their bedrooms, the bathroom, the hallway. I mean, as you know, in your home, you use up every bit of space. I love the color schemes, the period color schemes in the film. But the favorite is his bedroom. His bedroom is fantastic, and these built-in shelves along the wall, which were really popular back then, and the drapes are great, and the detail work of him editing these films in these tiny little film canisters. It's a great detail. This, I believe, is the second or third house that they have, and you could see how the 60s start to come into play. The design is more mid-century, and then the other house is the Craftsman in California, or I think he's in San Francisco. I think they end up with the mission style that they've implemented, and even in the lighting, those beautiful shades that they have. And again, a period film with graphics and storefronts and creating this whole world. It's amazing. I love the color scheme of this camera shop. It's so great. And this I loved. I love this girl's bedroom. Um, all the Jesus and like Bobby Darin details. And look at the bedding. The bedding is so fantastic. There are some bigger sets in the prom scenes. There's the bigger sets of him shooting his film outside with like in the desert on all these rocks. So that was the Fablemans. I think if this film wasn't about Steven Spielberg, I don't think it would have even made its money back. I just don't. I think it's a good film. I wasn't in love with it. I don't think the film overall is anything special to me. And I would, well, we'll discuss at the end. Let's discuss at the end that. Now here is our winner for 2022 production design. Production designer Christian M. Goldbeck and set decorator Ernestine Hipper, who you can hear on the Decorating Pages podcast. I talked with her a week before she won. She was so down to earth and so humble. Just a lovely, lovely woman and so talented. And she had done Tar in the same year. It was really great work. All Quiet as the story of the start of World War One. Young Paul is a young German patriot eager to fight. Indoctrinated with propaganda at school, he and his friends eagerly sign up for the army soon after graduation. But when the horrors of war soon become too much to bear, and his friends die or become gravely wounded, Paul questions the sanity of fighting over a few hundred yards of war-torn countryside. I mean, this film is rough to get through. It's rough. It's very visual in the hard moments of war. It was nominated for 9 Oscars and won 4. It was filmed in Germany, Belgium, Prague, and Czech Republic. This is the 3rd rendition of the story. It is also said to be the most expensive German film in the history of Netflix. The director used a military area and an airfield north of Prague to film the battlefield, and it was a huge mud field the size of 10 football fields. So we will get to that set. It's phenomenal. Here is the art department. I know that Ernestine said she had buyers in different countries and, you know, language barriers and just different ways to work. So I know that this was from firsthand her talking how hard this was, and they didn't think that it was going to be Best Picture. You know, I looked up the money. I don't know if I had the money. It just said most expensive. They don't want to tell. So, what is interesting in this film is it's war, and the color palette is all down. You know, it's all, you know, muted down colors. And I think, too, again, in recreating real situations and real rooms that would have been there. I mean, this is a rendering of the clothing room, and then you see all the seamstresses stitching up older used uniforms from men who have been killed and shot, and they're sewing up the bullet holes to pass this wardrobe on to the new guy who's going to put it on and wear it. I love looking at the renderings versus the reality, and even the windows back there, how dirty they are. And I asked her about getting all of these sewing machines, and it was a feat. It was a feat to get them all. You're also looking at building old pieces, and so when you're building old pieces, and then you have to age them and make them look worn. I mean, she had a lot of things that weren't new. So even if you had to build something, you have to make it look not new. I believe this is a rendering also, and then this is the set that's shot. I know that a lot of the buildings were there and then they built onto them and or enhanced. Like, I'm sure if this was a building, maybe just putting down those the wood on the windows, or this whole piece here of the Warfield. This is a rendering. This is a rendering, but then this is the reality. It's fantastic. I mean, the detail of building out the trench with all of the wood planks and then making the wood ladders and look at these sandbags. And she had to get all of that barbed wire. She tells a fantastic story about producing all this barbed wire that's fake, because you didn't want the actors to actually get hurt on this. And so she has a great story about that on the podcast. But it looks like, oh, they just built a trench and then, like, that's all on construction. But no, look, all the barrels and then pieces laying around and boxes and the ladders and just boxes on the wall back there. There's a tremendous amount of detail in this. It's really unbelievable. And then they had the scenes in the rain and pulling the water out of there, and all of the fight scenes that they had to do through in these, and the bullets, and showing war literally in the trenches. I think this is one of my favorite. This is the rendering, and this is the reality of the French. It was like the French trench that they got into, and they immediately start eating their bread and their cheese and everything. But that's these are details I'm sure in research you find. They had some flour, they had a couple pots, they had some plates, some makeshift tables. I mean, if this is done in research, and then look at even the fabric used above, how great that is. This is a rendering of their little village. This is one of the bunk places that they would sleep, and then this is one of the sets coming from there. And again, the finding all of this old vintage stuff. I don't know in Europe. Maybe they got good prop houses or it's a plentiful. I don't know, but it's a lot. I wanted to show too some details of some of the graphics that they had just in the background. And then this whole set down here, the weapons factory, and it's not on screen very long, but look at the detail of the big missiles. They're not missiles, bombs. I don't know. I mean, it's a weapons factory. They're making bullets there. This just an unbelievable thing of all the clothing hanging, the hospital that they did, candlelight, all of the textures on the walls, getting all these little cots and bedpans and side tables. This detail is fantastic of, people, the soldiers raiding houses and then coming out and finding some wine and some music. When they go into the generals' rooms and everything, and how different they're living. I mean, they're living normal lives. So, they're at the dinner table, they're at the dining table in your big house. The train is unbelievable to me. This train set the detail and the curtains and the lace and the upholstery and the etched glass that they used. Look at that. Look at that. Uh, the drapery with the tassels and the sconces and the the carpet. It's just a beautiful space that they turn. I think they flipped that. They might have flipped this room, maybe, to be this meeting room. Maybe not. But look at the dramatic difference of the shades, but still this huge table and this train car. It's awesome. And then this photo showing like the build of the train car, and you can see the backing on the side and how they lit it. Um, here's that field, 10 football fields that they used to make the ditch. And here, look at this, the front line. This is how they um, built it, and then had cameras, day 3, day scene 28. I mean, you really have to plan out scenes like this for it all to work together. And I'm sure there was a huge collaboration with director and designer and decorator on this. And there's the film crew. And then, I mean, could you imagine, you gotta dress all of this. You gotta dig all this out. You gotta get construction in there. You gotta dress it. You gotta age it. You gotta get it muddy. It's unbelievable. And that's why it's the winner, I think. So, in a recap of the films, I would have to say that I do think that All Quiet on the Western Front, to me, is the winner. I know that Avatar is a different kind of film and a different kind of design, and I wish it could be in a different category. Um, because I know that the years it took, and they're developing new kinds of technology to design for that. So it should be awarded. But I feel that the detail work and everything that went into All Quiet, I would have voted for All Quiet. As I started to get into, I kind of think the weak link in these, just in this in this little party, is the Fablemans. It's done exquisitely well. There is no doubt about it. Every detail is great. It's just it's a period film that is a lot more residential, I guess I should say, or doesn't have the big sets that these other films do. To me, I think Black Panther, what is it, Wakanda Forever? I feel like that might have been overlooked here for production design in this year. I just don't think that when you consider the builds on All Quiet, the unbelievable breakthrough designs of Avatar, the amount of sets in Babylon, and you could say Babylon was, residential too, but look at the big outside builds that they had, um, and the sheer choreography of the sets with the dialogue. That to me is like, ugh. And Elvis, I gotta say, Elvis, that's big. There was a lot of big builds in that. So to me, I understand why those were nominated. I mean, I'm just saying, I think Black Panther might have been a really close one. I think it might have been just shy of vote or two, I think, in being nominated for this year. But these films are often, hey man, I wish I could have been a PA on any one of these. I think these are phenomenal films, and congratulations to all of these people for getting nominated. But I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did in rewatching these films and, dissecting them with the design eye. And again, just I'm releasing them. I'm sure they're all out at this point, maybe. But great years of cinema: 1950, 1975, 1993. I mean, I got a lot going on, so I hope you enjoy.